Good afternoon. Good day, everybody. Brian here from quantlabs.net. Okay, so let's talk about my last video I put up on Rumble about the reasons of pretty well relocating. Those are touchy subjects and topics that I find um, just YouTube don't like them, depending upon your channel. So I put it up on the other platform, Rumble. You go to my blog to find it, quantlabs.net/blog, to find that video. Um, in this video, I want to talk about you make the decision you want to relocate, but we've got a number of things to go through on anchors in your life and sails in your life. Meaning, if you were a boat floating around somewhere in the ocean, there are two things that are going to move you or hold you back. Obviously, an anchor is going to hold you back, and you need a sail to propel you to your next journey wherever you're going. So let's first talk about anchors. The world is pretty nutty right now. We know why. We know we go on the social media to find out why. But there's some other things that you may not know about here in Canada that is pretty disturbing. We have a carbon tax for the E thing. Even if you're the poorest of the poor, you're still paying this. If you like let's talk about a pensioner, a grandma, right? And they're going to have to pay a carbon tax. Okay, they have to pay a carbon tax with the harmonized sales tax on the energy they bring in on top of the fees. These are with, let's say, in Ontario. So they have to pay between a carbon tax and the HST. They're going to pay about 35% of that will be their bill. Okay, so $600 a month, which is very realistic in a cold country. If you don't have if grandma can't afford a proper furnace for efficiency, they're going to spend about $200 out of a $600 bill for per month. Do you think the government cares about that? No, they don't. The other thing is, if you live in a place like Toronto, probably could say that right across North America, higher property tax. So in our case, it's been finalized just under 10%. That's still pretty steep for somebody, again, for grandma. And they were talking up to 16%, which exposed another 6%, which went to we know what. I'm not going to mention it here because it's YouTube. So these are the type of anchors we need to think about. As inflation kicks in, costs to maintain a home will go up. So as to maintain a home goes up, those now become an anchor. If you had an ability to equate those costs and still be okay, you're fine. People say, well, you can rent it, but well, here we have something called cash for keys. Look it up. And the other big thing that most people depend on is a higher property value. Way the economy is looking right now with higher inflation, higher national debt, people can't find work because of, well, you know what? Um, that's going to have a huge impact on home values, right? Because as it becomes more unaffordable for people to have a home, they will not be able to keep it, and more homes will be coming onto the market. Uh, they're also dependent upon jobs, and if the job market is not healthy, which it's not here, people can't find work. I mean, let's just put it out there. Even if you're in software development, you can't find work. You got ageism that can happen if you become an old fart like me. It could be a racial thing because you're just the wrong, you know what, and blah 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 blah. So those opportunities no longer exist, and there's preferential treatment to other areas of other kinds of folk. So that's going on. So these are all anchors. You see, your job potential can drop. More competition. As there's more competition in a local job market like Toronto, and it's 20% of the economy for Canada, that means that jobs will not go up in price in salary. Right now, most likely, most jobs are probably still what they were in the 90s, and this is 2024. But inflation's gone up, housing's gone up probably 2 to 3 times more. So these are the kind of anchors and costs to own a home that I'm talking about. Right now, if you've listen to one of the uh, rants from Jordan Peterson. I'm not a huge fan of him, but he makes some very valid points here. Some of the stats he spat out were for Canada, we have a lower net income than Mississippi. And let me remind you, Mississippi is the poorest state in the US. The OECD put Canada at having the lowest projected net income out of like 20 plus countries for the next 3 decades. I don't know if that's true, but definitely for the next year, couple of years, as long as we have our dear leader in place. And the danger there, as the biggest anchor of all, is there's an actual population in this country that will support our dear leader, that will want to keep him in place, and that's fine. But eventually, Canada becomes a welfare state. If you've not heard about our court, where it was not justified for what our dear leader did and went against all our so-called freedom of rights, and but nothing's getting done, right? Nothing changes. So, yeah, those are anchors. And another type of anchor you may not know, which will lead into our sales that will propel you to the next place that you want to go, is looking for jobs. Looking for jobs take away focus. Okay. When you're looking for a job and you're sending out, I don't know, 50, 100, maybe even a couple hundred resumes a day, and you're not getting one interview, you have to ask yourself why. It could be ultra competition. I've heard some jobs here in the big smoke called Toronto, just IT jobs. There's up to 2,000 applicants per job. That's like trying to win a lottery. I don't know the statistics of trying to win a lottery. It's getting very bad. And when you look at, I got somebody sent me an article for hedge fund jobs. Very, very small hedge fund had 5 jobs available. They got over 20,000 applications for all 5 jobs. So that's basically 4,000 applicants per job. That's how fierce the competition is. And what does it do for the hedge fund? Well, they can exploit if they wanted on the salary end, if they wanted. Um, this is going back to what it was in '08 in the great financial crisis, where lots of IT jobs were just above minimum wage. This is how bad it is. And considering the amount of testing and the amount of skills you have, you're probably better off to work at McDonald's. Look, that's how bad it is. So those are your anchors, right? Those are the sort of things that may hold you back. This has got nothing to do with politics, got nothing to do with social identity. This is just reality in your life and what you may face. So let's talk about sales. Number one, that's going to be your sale that will propel you is obviously not just income, but predictable, stable income. That's a good thing about a job is it gives you every 2 weeks a paycheck where you get an income that you can rely on forever. But the anchor of that is they could get rid of you because you didn't blow your nose properly and you left a booger accidentally in the bathroom or something stupid like that. They can get rid of you for any reason. That's an anchor right there. It's a risk. Many people don't think about it. By the end of the day, we need predictable and stable income. So can you do that without a job? Probably. But you not only that, but because of the way the economy is shaping out right now with the competition and the the competition, you know what I'm saying, from foreign lands, we'll say, for jobs. Uh, yeah, your situation could get bad. As I said earlier, if you have at best flat home value and it's costing you quite a bit of money to maintain it, and as I said, rental income might not be the best option because now of this cash for keys thing that lots of tenant associations are pushing out there. As I said, look it up, cash for keys. Um, Anyways, so there's that. So this is a big deal. So now, let's say in my case, you're about to sell your home. Now you have flexibility to move wherever you want to go, right? Because you don't have that anchor, you don't have that home that's going to hold you back. You're not going to be held accountable for the costs to maintain that home. Okay. So if you want and need to be flexible, so let's say you apply for a job. Let's say there's some kind of opportunity, but says I had one potentially in LA, right? In Los Angeles, California. I don't have to sell my home anyway. So you're better off to have that flexibility if you can, if you're not getting the home property value that you want in 2 years, 5 years down the line. It's a totally different situation if you got kids and a family. I get it. You need a home. This kind of talk may not even apply to you. I get it. But if the economy turns against you in such an extreme way, these type of topics may matter. Okay, so you need to be flexible, which means that you're now able to be liquid in cash. Okay, so the big disadvantage with a home is it's illiquid. It's a structure in a ground. So you can't just turn that into cash. You have to do what I'm doing by putting it on the market, going through all these broker, realtor, and putting it on the market and sell it, which could take a couple of months, right? Prepping for it and all that. So that's not very liquid, is it? Um, the other thing we need to worry about when it comes to traditionally home, there are two aspects when it comes to retirement and income. We need income for day-to-day living, your food, blah, 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 all your bills that come in every month. That's what we need income for. But then there's the other aspect where we need to have wealth to retire on. Okay. So the thing is that as Warren Buffett said, is what are the top three things when it comes to trading is wealth creation and wealth preservation and not lose money. That's your number one goal. Number two is make money, and number three is repeat and look at number one or something like that. But the point is, wealth preservation is your number one goal, and your number one goal is not to lose money, especially your principal, and it should grow if it's properly managed. Um, so that comes down to you need to focus on independent wealth generation. So if you have capabilities of income and generate net income after your expenses and tax, remember here in Canada, some people are paying up to 54%. 54%. I just said that on average, in Ontario at least. So you're not going to get, and on top of all the other expenses that come with it, you're not going to be able to really generate wealth. So if you're not able to do that, you got to move and go to a lower affordable region in the world. I don't know, Thailand, Costa Rica, whatever. But that's like a reality. So we need to focus on wealth generation. And number one, as I said, wealth protection and make sure you're not losing money. That's a given. Easier said than done, but I can't do that. That's where what's important is trading is probably the number one way to do it. The concept of real estate is a joke. Any person that says real estate is still the number one way to make money, it's a joke. It's not liquid. You can have a much higher probability now of having bad tenants because of this cash for key thing and other scams that go on that the tenant can pull off. Um, so that's not really stable. I mean, if you get lucky and you find a good tenant, great. But your risk of finding a really nightmarish kind of tenant is just as high. It's like saying, would you walk around looking like a deer during hunting season in the middle of the woods? It's the same risk. You wouldn't do it. And that's not risk reward. It's just not there like it used to be. Um, so uh, being in the investment world, stock market, forex, maybe even crypto, is much better because you have liquidity there if you want to get out. Um, and there's always places to go to make money. I mean, I've been doing it for the last 2 years, but um, that's another story. But generally, uh, that is better than real estate and rental income. Okay. So you're better off. In some cases, if you sell a home and it's worth a lot of money, you may be able to live off of some form of dividend income that may pay you just as much as you would have in a full-time job. And that can be your stability. But you always, always, always have to make sure you get top-notch investment team that will kind of guarantee that. That's very hard to find. But is it possible? Hell yeah. So why own a home, right? With that, and you remember, you're not getting any costs. No cost at all. I mentioned earlier in the anchors, none. No property tax, no utility bills, none of that. So you're free and clear, and at the same time liquid. So that's a big sale in the back of your boat to propel you. Um, so if you're going to do this on your own, which I mean, it depends if you're starting out and you're trying to build something, I would say, yeah, try it. But if you've got, um, you'd sell your home, now you got a chunk of change, you're best off to get professionals to do that for you and then take a small portion out. I mean, we're talking not even 1% to make a go of it on your own with automated trading, systematic bots, and trying to get something that will most time get you have the thing to make optimal trading decisions for you. That's what I kind of got now. And obviously the whole idea is to build out a eventual kind of like a beach lifestyle that we all want. Um, but you got to do it in a way where it's a lot easier, right? And realistic. Forget what you see on YouTube with all the frat boys selling all this crap. If they're doing so well, you got to always ask yourself, well, why are you selling it, right? It's like a form of a male a some kind of MLM or something. So ask those questions, right? Okay, so as I said earlier, when it comes to looking for jobs, you're not finding jobs, you're not getting interviews. Some people, smart people, innovative people, are uh, taking that and turning it into an opportunity. As I said, it's easier said than done. But ideally, you want something where you're passionate, and what you want to focus on is obviously turning that into some kind of business opportunity via, I don't think social media is what it used to be anymore. But yeah, if you focus on search engine optimization through a website and through YouTube, those are two very good sources of traffic and be able to build out a business, build out potential clientele, and turn it into a membership of some kind where you can get recurring income. That stability there as it grows, that can be with you for the rest of your life. As long as you're pumping out content that people like, people want, people will keep coming back and paying every month. And that is the most ideal way to live, regardless, because even when we had the global sickness and there is no employer that says, well, you better take this questionable medicine, um, and or you may lose your job. You don't. You're not threat. You don't face that threat. So you're not dependent on other jobs and employers, and then go back through the same process in the grinder looking for another job or another income opportunity because you own the data, you own the customers when it comes as recurring income and membership. Okay, so quite important. And that's the stability and predictable income that people want. Again, these are all sales, right? Now, when it comes to technology, if you're in technology, unfortunately, when you look at the digital nomad lifestyle that some people are pining for, there was a very good video from a guy in Thailand. He did a survey, and he's got over 1,000 people in this membership, obviously. And he asked, like, what do these people do? How do they make money? Say 75% of them are in tech, and a lot of them are in startups. I've come from the startup world, and it's not very stable. In '08, there were a lot of tech companies that you can get maybe a gig for a year or two, and they may promise you equity and shares, which never pan out anyways. It's just basically a slave wage, and unfortunately, I just you want to look for that stable, long-term, predictable income. That's the key. And working with startups because most likely the startup's going to fail and not go anywhere. They may get some more money and extend you for another 3 months, but that's what a lot of nomads are doing. There's also a lot of them are in IT and DevOps and actual software development, a good chunk of them. And they're probably doing okay because they're going to work with probably third round seeded startups that are probably up in the with valuation of like 30, maybe 50 million. you have a much better chance to stay there long term and turn that into an actual, not just job, but potential career with that company. So that's possible, but getting those kind of jobs, I think, are tough. I'm going to give you some job hints as well as part of this to sales. Also, what's really important is tax is going to kill you. Here with our dear leader in Canada, with this dear leader wanting to charge carbon tax on your energy bill in the second coldest country is more than insulting to a grandma. I had a grandma that went up to 104. So I feel their pain, okay? Especially when they run out of money. So I've been there and done that, okay? So the priority here is you need to focus preferably on countries that have a lower tax region of preferably 0%. But as we know, some countries like Thailand are raising tax if you live there as a nomad. So what I'm seeing is, uh, like Dubai, like they just raised their, I think it's corporate tax or maybe even income tax at 9%, and people are flipping out. I'm like, hello, 9% is nothing. I mean, if it starts getting like a 20, even 25%, I'd start questioning that. And even some countries may put a cap on it, like what they do in Italy. Where do I get all this information from? As Nomad Capitalist, I'm not here to advertise, but that's where I get the general information from. So tax is a big thing. It's insulting to know that here in the West, namely Canada, is going to be atrociously billing people a tax upon a tax called the carbon tax. Or you want to have gas in your car, that's another 35%. Has your life gotten any better because of it? Absolutely not. We have universal health care, and you got to wait in a hospital emergency in Ontario on average 23 hours. Does that sound like good quality life? Or your kids in school with what's going on there? So it's not a good situation. So again, those type of things, taxes, lower quality, and with your expectation, a higher quality of what you, it's a social contract you have with where you live, and the government that is supposed to govern and have better policies to give you higher quality of life, which most countries in the West are not giving you. So you're better off to go elsewhere. Those are the things. So now let's say in my case, I get rid of the anchors. Majority of them are everything associated with a home, all the costs, everything, all gone, all gone. I'll be able to eliminate like 95% of those anchors and concerns that I have every month to get um, ends meet those ends, right? So now I can just go back to focusing on the sales to propel me where I need to go to the next point, wherever that will be. But these are the categories in that sales section that you got to consider, so that you have the focus and you have the energy to get you there. But as I said, for me, the best combination is, again, what you need to focus on is predictable, long-term, stable income. Okay. And that's creating your own opportunity. So these are all the sales that I'm talking about that you have to focus on. So when you focus on with that mindset, predictable, long-term, stable income, where you create through creating your own opportunity, and preserving things that you have, uh, and not dip into it, like the principle of it, which you shouldn't. That's rule number one, even from Buffett. And two areas that you can focus on are, obviously, a lot of people are moving into software engineering, software development, programming, whatever, because it's growing. But we've got now AI, where just look at the job losses of companies. They won't tell you that they will not tell you this, but they are laying people off because of AI. They'll say it makes each person productive. It makes the corporation productive. Okay. That's why certain companies are profiting, like Microsoft and Facebook, because they're focusing on that. Remember, Zuckerberg said 2023 was going to be the year of efficiency, which included job layoffs. Google's the same. All these tech companies are doing that. So software engineering may not be the best option long term. But if you're looking for, like, as I said, your own stable income that you create, your own opportunity through, I basically self-employment. Software engineering is probably your best skill to have because you're able to develop your own website, build out your own consulting firm in the world of small companies that need help, or even individuals that need help in tech, because a lot of them are not going to move into AI on their own, or but the opportunity is still there, but not in large corporations. So software engineering is still very important to have if this is the path you want for yourself. Um, Also, the other area is if you're going to do this, why not just focus on trading? Focus on the areas that you like. Um, Now, if you're a plumber, chances are you're not going to go into automated trading or software engineer. I get that. But it may affect your career anyways because a robot may do it. I just saw a robot doing field work, which the traditional Latinos that would do in the fields here close to me in the GTA's Greater Toronto Area. They bring them in for the summer and blah blah blah. Those kind of jobs may not exist anymore, and it's a boon for the farms, I guess. So there's that as opportunities. So you may need to go into these type of roles. So automated trading gives you that stability as well. And if it's your own money, go for it. And if you find something that works, go for it. Obviously, that's what I do. If it's not good for you, but you want a place to go, there's the email, quantlabs.net/books. I kind of cover some tips there, not everything, but it just kind of puts ideas in your head for that. So I recommend jumping on that and getting the PDF books. There's two actually. So I'll leave it at that. But we're kind of moving into a world of unknown, of extreme, and also uh, instability. Now, let me address this one thing because people are going to go, oh, but look at the today's job report. They put out 330,000 jobs. That's coming out of Wall Street, and there's something else called Main Street. Main Street's suffering right now. You ask anybody in the Midwest, anybody, most people, unless they are struggling to keep up with the bills, if they have a job, let alone there's now another uh, bunch of people that can't find work. And these people in the ivory towers in Wall Street are so out of touch, especially the elites and the politicians are so out of touch with what's going on out there. How do I know? Just look at Biden's approval ratings over the last 3 years. Most unpopular president ever, under 40% for the last 3 years of approval rating. So that tells you things are distorted, what you read and you hear. So don't believe it. And what will happen is that you get today's job report, 333,000 or 330,000 jobs created, the same period months from now. They will readjust it. There was a report that put out last year said 270,000 jobs were created. 3 4 months later, they upgraded it and reduced. Oops, we were wrong. 70,000 less jobs were created in that report. The U.S. is going into a election. They're going to pump out this manipulated data for election purposes for um, your current president. So keep that in mind. Anyways, we're coming up to half an hour. Very lengthy video, I know. Thanks for watching. And get on the bottom there if you want. And look for the last blog post. Um, why I'm relocating out of Canada and only found on the other platform, as I mentioned. Over and out.